Okay, guys, we're here. We're about to do this. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible within 30 minutes. And that means I'm going to have to jam pack a lot of information in that 30 minutes. And so just be ready for a value vomit, as some people call it. But I hate courses that go more than 30 minutes. So try to stick with me. I'll be giving you guys a lot of information. My name is Justin Hackney. I'm the founder of Dragoons Media, and I feel like I have seen quite a bit of success on LinkedIn myself, and I'm just trying to share that knowledge with you so that it can help you and your business achieve its goals this year. So how do you build your business on LinkedIn? I'm about to go over a lot of different, not only tactics, but really cool tools that you could be using, okay? But my first question before we even jump into anything is, what situation are you in as a business owner, as a salesman, as a marketer, right? The question you really need to ask is, are your clients on LinkedIn? Are they using LinkedIn? Are they using it enough for you to find LinkedIn to be valuable to your overall marketing strategy? I think for most people's cases, the answer is yes. And let me just try to back up what I'm saying with a little bit of proof. Why care? Well, there's more than 450 million people on LinkedIn worldwide. Some of the statistics that I got from LinkedIn is that they have 350 million users in the United States alone. I think there's only 320 million people in the United States. I don't know how there's more profiles in the US than there are actual people. Maybe that's a problem. My numbers could be a little bit off there on either side, right? But the point is that your next client, your next customer is probably scrolling through their LinkedIn as we speak, as you're watching this course. So that is why you should care. There's been an increase since 2012 of over 300% in LinkedIn's user base. And honestly, I think that numbers has sort of increased ever since 2016, since Microsoft acquisition. And maybe I'll get into that here in a bit. As most of you guys know, LinkedIn was really more well known as a B2B platform, and I think still is more well known as a B2B a platform where a lot of people that are selling to businesses and a lot of business owners are most active. But I think that that dynamic is starting to change ever since more updates have been coming out that have been making LinkedIn a lot more social. One of those updates is a simple change in their messenger. It's a much more robust messenger on LinkedIn now, where now you can see if people are active online, whereas before you had no idea if they were online. And so I'll get into some of these updates here in a minute, but I definitely think that whether or not you're in the B2B space, you need to be paying attention to LinkedIn in your overall marketing strategy. Okay, I don't know why that was in there. So, how many times do you, I guess I do know why this was in here, right? So this is their Messenger platform, the new updated Messenger platform. You see a little blue dot there now to the right that shows that the user is actually online and can be reading your message in real time, okay? What's important about that in making LinkedIn more social is that people are logging on more times a month than they used to. I think the old average that I saw was users would log on twice a month, and that was it. That number is steadily rising, and I don't know what the new number is, but I do know that people are logging on to LinkedIn a lot more nowadays than they ever were before. And so that statistic is you should be raising your eyebrow at it, right? You should be questioning why you're not on LinkedIn if your customers are logging on to any platform more than a couple of times a week and actually spending some real time on it. Okay. So before we really jump into to the presentation, I think that it's important to sort of know where LinkedIn has came from, know where they're heading, and that will give you, maybe it'll paint a better picture for you of why LinkedIn should be important to your team. If it's just yourself, why should it be important to your business, right? Again, it started back in 2003 as a sort of a B2B platform, as well as a social platform for recruiters and job hunters. That has since changed quite a bit, I think in a good way, and it's much more than a primary recruiter, heavy social platform. Okay, it's much more than just a business card online, and it's starting to become a number of different things. It's starting to become a CRM. It's starting to become, a social selling, a proxy. But I think the most important updates, and you guys can read all of these, but I think the most important updates actually happened since 2016 when Microsoft acquired LinkedIn for, I think it was $22.6 billion, some sort of absurd amount, right? I wish they could just throw me $1 million here every once in a while. But I think that was probably the most important update to you as a user of LinkedIn, as a business owner, as a marketer, because Microsoft has been pumping out updates every single quarter that's truly affecting the way people use their profiles and interact with the community on LinkedIn. So with all of that said, I hope that, obviously I can't talk to you, and so sometimes this can be a little bit weird because we can't really have a dialogue right now. This is a pre-recorded course, unfortunately, but I hope that in some way I have convinced you that you should be paying attention to LinkedIn and that you should be using LinkedIn actively in your marketing strategy. If you're not, what I'll say is this: do what every great marketer does and test it. Test it for a period of time. Look at your results of what you got. Look at what your goals were. If they don't match up, then drop it, right? But I would definitely test using the tools and the tactics that I'm about to show you for the next 3 months and see how it works for your business growth. Okay. This course is going to include how to prospect correctly. Look, I started my career as a salesman. I spent a lot of time prospecting, probably 85% of my time prospecting. The rest was spent closing business. What if I told you that you could have this platform and you have a number of different tools that allow you to prospect efficiently in a much shorter amount of time, and maybe spent 20% of your time, maybe even 15% of your time prospecting, and the rest of your time actually interacting with potential clients that are that would be great for your business. That they're qualified buyers. That they're people that would be a great fit for your business model, right? If I were to tell you that, would you be interested? Of course you were. And what I'm about to show you is going to hopefully change not only your business, but change your life, because you're going to have a lot more free time to focus on other important things that are maybe being put on the back burner at the moment because you're spending too much time prospecting. So I'm going to show you some tactics that I use to speed up the process of prospecting. Secondly, I'm going to show you how to build a bigger following. Okay, I have about 14,000 followers, and I've built that up just in the past couple of months using these strategies. Thirdly, is I'm going to show you what to do with your new database, and then I'm going to start off with LinkedIn best practices, because if you don't have a cleaned up profile and you're not using LinkedIn correctly, then all the rest of the stuff really doesn't matter. So I think we can jump sort of right into that. Again, not to brag, really I'm just trying to share some stuff that I've learned through other great marketers in a period of 2 months. This was not that long ago. In a period of just 2 months, I've built over 13,000 qualified leads on my LinkedIn, and I've increased sales by 150% in just 2 months. For me, that I was extremely excited about those numbers that I saw, and hopefully what I'm about to show you can reel in the same results for you and your business. Okay, again, I'm going to go over some LinkedIn basics with you, just because if you don't have a cleaned up profile, if you're reaching out to tons and tons of people, and you're talking to people on LinkedIn and your profile's all messed up, you might be doing more harm than good. Okay, so first things first is get a professional picture taken of you. Dang it. Okay. I have a lot of professional pictures. I chose to use this one just because that's something that I would wear. I'm not like a coat and tie kind of person. I like to work out of coffee shops and be real relaxed because I work a lot. So I don't want to be cooped up in a jacket and that sort of thing. But if I would go to a business meeting in a coat and tie, I would probably show myself in a coat and tie. But make sure that you have a professional headshot taken of you. It doesn't have to be in a coat and tie. Honestly, you should be wearing what you would normally wear in a business setting. Make sure that your banner picture says something about you. I've heard a lot of people give good advice on banner pictures, saying that you should show yourself speaking in front of a large audience to give yourself social proof. I've heard things like take a picture with a big influencer that's relevant in your space. I think those are all great ideas. My banner picture just shows what I do. I think when you look at my profile right off the bat, that you know that I'm an advertiser, most likely on Facebook, right? You know I'm a promoter, a marketer, and you can assume that Dragoons Media is some sort of advertising agency that uses social media as a basis of doing that business. And so going on here, you see that my about section is actually my story. Okay, I don't list skills and things. This is not a resume. Okay, make sure you're telling your story on your profile. Also, the last thing I'll say is, look, fill in the rest of the information. Make sure that you have, what your experience is, the companies. Make sure you have a bunch of cool links in there. Make sure you list your skills and endorse, so you can start racking up endorsements and in any organizations and things like that you're a part of. That sort of goes without saying. But one thing that I've seen a lot of people miss out on is that their links either are non-existent or they don't work. Make sure that the links to your website, to your company's website, and to your other social profiles, like I have my Twitter on here, are actually working. Okay, you can also change your handle. I notice a lot of people don't do that. Your profile, you can go into your settings and change that. Mine says JC Hackney. I think it's easier to find me when I say, hey, check me out on LinkedIn and reach out to me. You can find me at my handle, JC Hackney. It's much easier to remember than some sort of long combination of letters and numbers. Okay, let's just go on here. Another sort of best practices technique is to join LinkedIn groups. Now, I don't know when you will be watching this LinkedIn course, but LinkedIn is starting to focus on heavily LinkedIn groups. And from my understanding, they'll be acting much more like Facebook groups are acting, and that you'll get much more notifications from them. They will be true communities of people that that are engaging heavily in content within those groups. before, I know when I first got started on LinkedIn, LinkedIn groups weren't that great. People didn't really go there to engage. They might have joined just to, I don't know, just to say that they joined, I guess, but they weren't really places that that my clients anyways were hanging out. And maybe you have a different experience with that, but I believe that you can join more than 25 groups on LinkedIn. You would have to fact check me on that, but you can join a good amount of them. And what you do need to make sure that you do today is make sure you're filling up those slots with relevant groups. And last but not least, go ahead and check out your sales social selling index by going to www.linkedin.com/sales/SSI/dashboard. It'll take you to this page. As you can see, I'm scoring in the top 1% of LinkedIn for my social selling index, and that should be your target goal. So I would love if in the comments section on, I might post about this course somewhere on the Atlanta Growth Hackers group. If you could just say what your original social selling index score is, and give it a few weeks after you've applied some of these tactics and techniques and tools that I'm about to share with you. Give it a few weeks and then repost your score, and I guarantee you that your score is going to be really high, if not in the top 1%, if you follow everything that I'll give you guys today. Okay, so question for you is, where are your customers hanging out on LinkedIn? What groups are they hanging out on LinkedIn? What sort of content do they like to pick up? Are they watching videos? Do they like posts? Do they like articles? Use LinkedIn Pulse, right? LinkedIn Pulse, if you don't know this, is LinkedIn's blog platform. So make sure you're utilizing all of what LinkedIn has to offer. There's also SlideShare, okay? And you can find these things by, when you go to LinkedIn, going to the work section here, and you can see, look, SlideShare. I don't know if many of you know about this, but you can create your own SlideShares on LinkedIn by just, if you have great sales presentations, or if you have just informational slides, upload them. I can't speak today. Upload them to SlideShare and share them with your audience and see how they take that information. But you need to figure out where your customers and clients are hanging out on LinkedIn so that you can properly target them. LinkedIn is really interesting to me because the messages that I send out usually have a 90 to 95% open rate, and that seems to be industry average. I've heard of people getting much more higher than that, but there's not much higher percentage that you can go after 95%, right? But also, you can export your email list, and that email list is getting typically above average open rates, and it's getting about a 25% click-through rate from me. Okay, and the reason why, and I never had problems with LinkedIn's emails that I've been exporting, is because if you have a LinkedIn profile, you have to have a working email on the profile. Okay, so if you're connected with someone as a first connection, you are going to gain access to their email. You have to, and a lot of people even put their phone numbers there. I do, just because I want to be accessible, but you have to have an email. So as soon as you connect with someone as a first connection, you just gain access to that prospect's email, and then you can continue to export those lists out and build up your list of qualified leads in an Excel spreadsheet. And that Excel spreadsheet is very flexible. You can do a lot with that, and I'll show you guys in a minute what I'm talking about. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to speed some things up, so I might skip over some of this stuff if I want to keep this within 30 minutes. Okay. Okay, do you still have doubts that LinkedIn can help you grow your business? Hopefully not. Hopefully I've convinced you otherwise, right? Hopefully you're going to be using this now with some of the tools that I show you here that we're about to get into right now. I promise you guys. I promise you I'd show you some tools and some cool techniques to use. And so here we go. Okay. So I mentioned before that I got my start in sales, and I was spending a lot of my time, prospecting. And so one of the things that I was interested about when I joined LinkedIn was, how do I automate that prospecting process? There's a number of different ways you can automate. You can automate sending tailored invitations to qualified prospects. You can automate sending focused messages to targeted first connections, so people that are actually connected with you. You can automate endorsing contacts, hundreds of contacts. And you can automate visiting your leads' profiles so that you show up in their notifications. And you could do, the list goes on, guys. I'm not going to go into it, but you could pretty much automate anything that you would do manually on LinkedIn, okay? And one of the tools that helps me out with automation is called Linked Helper. So I want you to do this right now. I want you to, and keep this video running, but I want you to open up a second tab right now. I want you to head to the Chrome extension store on Google, search for Linked Helper, add on to your extensions, get a free month trial, and we'll be off to the races. So again, I want you to go to the Chrome extension store. I want you to type in Linked, can't type here, Helper, enter. It'll be the first thing that pops up. So this is what I want you to add to your Chrome extension list. And that extension will then prompt you to go through a sign up phase, and you'll connect your account, but you'll get a free month trial. So you'll have 30 days to use this tool for absolutely for free. And then after that, I believe it's $15 a month, but trust me, it's worth a lot more than $15 a month, okay? So now this is the part of the presentation where I really go out into the wild. I get off of the slide presentation and start showing you some of the ways that I use Linked Helper and some other cool tools that I found along the way in order to grow my LinkedIn database by over 10,000 in just a few months, and really have increased my sales, my business by 150%, okay? So this is when I go out into the wild, so stay with me, start taking notes. Hopefully by now you've downloaded Linked Helper. I want you to come back to the video. If you're listening to me and you're playing around on your profile right now, I want you to come back to the video, stick with me for the next 15 minutes or so, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use this add-on, okay? So another tool that I use is Sales Navigator. And let me just open up Sales Navigator for you guys. Okay. So this is Sales Navigator. Let me go home. Sales Navigator is a part of a premium account. It is $80 a month. Well worth the money spent. I use it every single day, and there's two main things that you can do with Sales Navigator. The first is that you can search for leads, and the second is that you can search for accounts. So the fact that it is premium, the search parameters that you set are much more robust than it is on a basic free account on LinkedIn. Okay, so when I'm looking for leads on LinkedIn, I can set a parameter for geography. So let's just type in Atlanta. I want second connections, and I only want CEOs and founders, co-founders. Let's say owners. Okay, business owner maybe. And as I'm doing this, you can see the results up here. So 61,000 people that are living in Atlanta that are second connections. that are CEOs, founders, co-founders, that sort of thing. Let's get a little bit more detailed here. Let's do industries. So I'm going to do restaurants. Okay, because that is a potential client of mine. And let's go to company headcount. So my client is typically a small to medium-sized business. So let's just add up to 200. Okay, now you see my list has decreased from 61,000 to 162 people. Okay, so let's search for that lead. Now, great. This cool list pops up, and I'm not sure if Zoom is going to cover up the linked helper icon. Let me drag this over so you guys can see it. So this is how I use the tool. Once I have set the search parameters for my prospects, again, we are prospecting right now, and I just want to make this clear. I spent a couple of seconds prospecting. I let LinkedIn, I let a tool do the prospecting for me, whereas in the past, I would have to be doing all this stuff manually. Now I know that there are 162 prospects of mine that are living in Atlanta, that are second connections, so I'm not connected with them yet, that are restaurant owners, CEOs, co-founders, founders, that sort of thing. Okay, so I'm going to open up this linked helper tool. All right, I'm going to click on this little icon here with 3 little lines, and I'm going to go to collect, select, and invite second and third contacts. Okay. Now I'm going to create a list. I'm going to say restaurant owners. I can't spell, guys. Atlanta. Okay, you can get really detailed with the list. And then I'm going to start collecting contacts for inviting. So press that button. You can see my hands. I'm not touching my computer, but as you can see, the browser, this tool has taken over my browser, and it has started to scrape the profiles of all of these restaurant owners. Okay, which is really, really cool, and hopefully that saves you a lot of time. Okay, so let's just go ahead and stop collecting because I'm not going to actually use this list. But one thing we could do is maybe there was some mistakes made in here. Okay, and I want to view this list. So let's just say I want to scrub everyone who doesn't have a profile picture, because that probably says that they don't log on to LinkedIn much. So let's go ahead and scrub everyone that doesn't have a profile picture. Okay. All right. So I can just delete the selected. So they're deleted, and you can just go here and scrub this list. Okay. So I'm going to close that. And then this is where it gets really cool. So I can say, and now we're going to develop a message for this list. And the cool thing is that the message can be extremely targeted, okay? Because you know exactly who they are, where they are, and what they're doing. As opposed to sending out mass messages, mass email blasts, that sort of thing. Now I have a lot of information about them, and my message can be tailored specifically to this segment. So I can say, hey Justin, I live in Atlanta, and I see you have a restaurant, or you're doing business, you know, I don't know. I live in Atlanta, and I see you have a restaurant that I think I need to check out soon. How long have you been in business for? Start a conversation with these people, okay? Make sure it's conversational. Make sure you're actually a human. I mean, you should not be doing anything that you wouldn't do manually. You know, I would reach out to all of these people in the same way that I'm doing now. And so you can save that template, right? You can also put links in here, right? So you can say, you know, visit my website, www.dragoonsmedia.com, okay? But you're going to save that template, and then you're going to go to invite, and you're going to start profile inviting. And it's actually, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to do it now. But you'll see your browser take over, and you'll start inviting. I have it set for 100 invitations per every 24 hours. So every day I'm sending out 100 new messages to targeted segments in my prospecting. And the message that I'm sending to this targeted segment is extremely focused, the messages, but it's also extremely conversational. And so you get a really high hit rate off of that. Okay, so that's one way you can use Linked Helper, by reaching out to leads and prospecting. The other way is if, say I go back into, let's just say I go back into my, my search parameters, and I say, instead of second connections, I want to do first connections. Oops, I want to do first connections. Okay. This is not helping me out here. Second, okay, first connection. Sorry about that. So I'm connected with 6 people here in Atlanta. I don't want to spend too much time on these lists because I don't want you guys to see their names or their profiles, even though it is public. But if I wanted to send a message out to my first connections, I could do that as well. All you do is go to this button here, message to first connections. You do it in the same exact way. You need to make sure that you set your search parameters as first connections instead of second. And then you can send out a message broadcast to all of your first connections in a specific group. And you can tailor that message to that group. Okay. So let me go ahead and close this. Sorry if I'm moving. I'm not sure if you see on Zoom if I'm moving things around too much, but if you've ever ran a webinar, you know that things need to move. So again, I'm just going to show you some features, but I'm not going to go into them in too great of detail. Here's some other features that Linked Helper allows you to do. You can visit profiles. You can endorse contacts. You can extract profiles and just get their emails. You can add signatures to your message. So every time you message someone, a signature pops up, and that signature should have your website or maybe your webinar link or something like that that people can click on every time you message somebody. You can cancel invites, or you can back up your LinkedIn data. You do all sorts of stuff with this tool that costs $15 a month and gives you a free trial. Okay, so it's really, really, really cool. This is what I used by messaging 100 people a day and being very targeted on my messaging. This is how I've grown. One of the ways in which I've grown my following to over close to 15,000 using LinkedIn. Okay, and the second thing Sales Navigator helps you do is to search for accounts. So I would search for accounts pretty much the same way you search for leads. You just set up your search parameters. So let's say, again, instead of actual people, I say I want to search for restaurants in Atlanta. Okay, and let's say I want their company headcount. I want them to be smaller restaurants. Okay, so anywhere to 50 people. There's 555 results. Great. Let's go ahead and search. One of the things that I do is I just right click and open a new tab, and I'll start opening a ton of different pages and new tabs. And then what I'll do is I will copy their website URL. I will open up a Google Sheet. I will paste that URL into a Google Sheet. I will then make this Google Sheet into a CSV file, okay, into an Excel spreadsheet. And I use another tool called Find That Lead, okay? Stick with me here. So if you go to findthatlead.com and you sign up for an account, you can go to domain search, okay? And here on domain search, you can upload that CSV file. I've already done it, but it'll say something like download your CSV file. You set your parameters, so domain, and your max results. I want 10 emails out of each domain. So let's just press start searching. I used, again, I use this small sheet of restaurants here in Atlanta, but say I had 100 of those domains, or they're not random domains, right? You're letting LinkedIn do the prospecting for you. Okay, so the LinkedIn's doing all the hard work. They're doing all the searching for you. Now you just export those domains into a CSV file, and you use find that lead. Okay, any moment now, find that lead. 75% loading. You let find that lead produce the emails out of those domains. Okay, so for myharvestmooncafe.com, we have some emails here. And so then what we could do is we can export this list of emails. Okay, and these are the emails associated with these domains. We can export that list out into a CSV file and then send out email blasts. So not only are we hitting these people up on LinkedIn, but we also are getting their emails. And let me just show you another way that you can get start building out your email list using LinkedIn. Okay, so pay attention here. So we're going to go to my network. Here you'll see all of your LinkedIn connections. So I have 13,807. I'm going to go to see all. I'm going to go to manage synced and imported contacts up on your top right. And I'm going to go to export contacts. Okay, and you want to click on pick and choose, and you want to click on just connections. Okay, and then you request that CSV file, and you'll get an email. Typically, in your social, like on Gmail, I have a social tab. You'll get an email from LinkedIn saying that the CSV file is ready to download, and you just download it, and you keep doing that every month or so as you're building up your LinkedIn database. You can continue to export those LinkedIn profiles. One smart thing that I've learn the hard way is as you're adding people, make sure you're tagging them. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Sales Navigator. I'm just going to show you what I'm talking about here. Let me go back to Sales Navigator. I'm going to go home. So I've tagged, so let's just see. Here's one of my leads. So I've tagged him, okay? And you can tag them here to the top right. You can add tags. I tagged follow up in software. So this is a guy, he's a chief growth officer at a software company here in Atlanta. And the reason why I did that is because when you are exporting your email files, you're getting everyone. You can't say, I just want these people, all right? You're going to be exporting all of your emails at once. So I'm exporting 13,000. So how do you scrub 13,000 into a smaller, more tighter segmented group of emails if you don't tag them at the very beginning? It's very difficult. I learned that the hard way. So make sure you're tagging people as you're adding them. That also helps out the buyer, right? The buyer doesn't want you blasting them with irrelevant emails. You want to add value as a salesman, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a marketer. You want to add value to people's lives. You don't want to blast them with a bunch of irrelevant content, stuff that they don't care about. Okay, so that is so that's sort of the process that I take on building out my email list. Okay. Last but not least, and I'm not sure if I really even want to show you guys this, but LinkedIn has a way of based off of your own connections. It has a way of recommending new connections to you. So as you can see, when you click on my network, these people will pop up, right? So the president at Environmental Labs and Services, there's a lot of like executives, a lot of business owners show up on mine. And so LinkedIn is basically taking lookalike audiences and saying you should connect with these people and you haven't already. And it gives you a really easy way to connect with them. It says connect. Instead of going through this and just connecting with all of the profiles that LinkedIn tells me I should be connecting with, right? So they want you to connect with these profiles. And these are generic connections. So if I click connect, it doesn't even give me the option of adding a message. So what I'll say is this. What I'm about to show you allows you to really build out your email or really build out your LinkedIn database, but you're not sending them tailored messages in your invitation to connect as you would with Linked Helper. Okay, but let me just go ahead and open this up. It is a Word document that if you ask nicely, oops, no, I don't want to open that up. No. This is actually my script today that I went completely off of. Okay. This script that I'm about to show you, I've used less and less frequently in the past few months. I used it to really surge up my database, but I've used it less frequently because I want to tailor my message to the people that I'm reaching out to, and I don't want to just send a connection saying, "Hey, I want to connect. I want to add you to my personal profile." Okay, let's give that a minute to load. This might be a little advanced. These next steps that I show you, but again, if you practice it within parameters that you set for yourself, it's extremely effective on growing your LinkedIn. And it is not against terms of services or anything like that. You're literally just connecting with people that LinkedIn is recommending you to connect with. The only difference is that you're not doing it manually. You're typing in some script that allows you to. It takes over your browser and does it for you at a insane pace. And so I have here a document that gives you step-by-step on how to do this, but I'm just going to walk you through it. The important stuff is this set of code right here. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this. So let's copy that set of code. And you need to make sure that you're in this page, this My Network page. And you're going to go up here to the top right, and you're going to open this up, and you're going to go to More Tools. More Tools is going to open up even more tabs. You want to go to Developer Tools. So that's the tab that you want to find. Okay, so when I open up Developer Tools, it might show up on Elements here, but you need to make sure that you're on Console. And you need to paste that set of code in your console, press Enter, and voila. You see the script working. It's invited 30 now in a matter of, I think, 2 seconds. It's invited 39, another second. It'll invite hundreds and hundreds of people that LinkedIn, depending on how fast LinkedIn loads, right? It's not going to load fast when I have Zoom running in the background, but let me just close out of that really quick. If you want to stop this, you just exit out, go home. It does not work unless you're on that My Network page. Okay, you can leave that up for 30 minutes and you'll invite hundreds of connections that LinkedIn is recommending you to connect with. And I've noticed that the hit rate on those invitations are really high. And you'll see your LinkedIn grow tremendously in the next few weeks if you do that every day, every other day for just 10 to 25, 30 minutes. Right? You don't want to go any longer than that, I don't think, because I don't think that'll look good to send that many invitations out, especially if those people are not connecting with you. I think if LinkedIn, I'm not sure how exactly it works, but I think if LinkedIn sees that you're sending out a lot of connections and no one's actually connecting with you, that sends a red flag to LinkedIn and they might suspend your account. But this is not against terms of services at all. You're literally just doing what you would have done manually with that set of script by connecting with people that they recommend you to connect with. So hopefully I know that was a lot of information, but those 4 tools, a combination of Sales Navigator, Linked Helper as an add-on to your Chrome extension, find that lead and that set of script that I just provided to you, a combination of those 4 tools has allowed me to grow my LinkedIn database by 10,000 qualified contacts, and which also in turn allowed me to grow my email list by 10,000 contacts in less than 2 months by putting in just a few minutes of work a week. Um, that's how I did it. There's no secret to it. That's it. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this course. If you liked it, if you like this course, please let me know. Reach out to me. Go to my website, www.dragoonsmedia.com. It has nothing to do with dragons, by the way. Everybody asks me that. It's actually a military term, and I'm prior service and prior military. Look up what Dragoons is in the military. Although dragons are cool. Okay, but go to my website. I have a Facebook chat bot there on my website. It's connected straight to my page. You can send me a message there, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn. Request to join our Growth Hackers group at Atlanta Growth Hackers. Or you can find me at my handle, JC Hackney, on LinkedIn, and shoot me an invitation. Let me know if you like this course or not. I would really appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me, and keep a lookout for future courses that will be rolling out soon. Thank you.